Well, hello, Shiny Crafty People. Tim Totten here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to show you how to take a standard placemat and turn it into a really awesome little zippered carry bag so you can put longer items like a curling iron or a flat iron in. Now, I don't know what either of those things are, but hey, I hear some of you might use them. So why don't you join me down here at the cutting table and I'll show you everything you need to do to start this really fast and easy no cutting project. So for this project, we're gonna need a zipper. I'm using a 20-inch zipper, but you could use a slightly smaller one. A placemat. This is one of the Pioneer Woman placemats that's a different side, and we'll choose which side we want. And then some matching thread and bobbin, as well as something to measure with. So I'm gonna use a grid. Now, what we're trying to work on today is, typically these things are made, people make them like a dop kit or what they call, or like a toiletries kit. And they're usually a little, they're not as long. They're kind of big, like almost like a big bread loaf. We're gonna make ours long and skinny today. So a little different. Instead of rolling this way and giving us a lot of room, we're gonna roll it this way and make it really long so that it'll fit our flat iron or curling iron. And so we have a 19 by 14 inch rectangle, and we're gonna go along the 19-inch length. So it means that when we take the 14-inch and divide it by 4, each side is gonna be 3.5 inches. And that means at the ends we'll have to turn in, and it's gonna give us about 15 inches overall. That's good because most of the curling irons and flat irons that I've looked at, none that I would use because I don't have any hair, but the ones I've looked at are all in that size range, so they should all fit in here perfectly. So what we're gonna do is take all of our stuff off of the mat, and I'll just have to get a pair of scissors and trim. I'm getting my garbage scissors because I'm cutting plastic. I say garbage, they're not garbage, but they're just meant for non-thread stuff, non-fabric stuff. It's important that you have scissors that you use for this so you don't use your good scissors. That's important. And I'm gonna go ahead and take off these tags, even though they're not necessary. They're gonna be in the end that gets cut off anyway or trimmed. All right, so then we have to figure out putting these two pieces together. Now I could turn it in where that blue line is gone when I put the zipper in, but I kind of like the idea of seeing that edge. So I'm gonna put the zipper to where it comes out from underneath there. So let's open our zipper up. Now this is just a standard all-purpose zipper made by Coates, you know, Coates and Clark. So they're all over. I mean, you can buy these most any place. And this to me is a rather casual project, so I'm not worried about trying to make this like a garment, a nice garment where you wouldn't see anything. So I'm not worried about, you know, finishing or putting a lining in it. If you felt like you needed to, you certainly could. But you'll see how that's long enough now for the entire piece. So I want it to sort of go in here like this. Now you can pick any color you want. I like this green, I think it's cute. These will come over just this direction and get sewn on, so you'll see the zipper in between there. So my best plan is to line the zipper up and stitch down one side, and then I'll stitch down the other. Now, you have to decide, you could, like I said, go here and then fold that open, but I think that you just get some extra steps. We already have a nice finished edge here. So what I'm gonna do is lay the zipper underneath, see where I like it to be, and I wanna line this blue edge up to the edge of the teeth. Now what that means is when I sew this together, I can't sew back at this stitch. I've got to sew right along the edge because, as you'll notice here, there's not that much extra that goes over that would catch it. Now you could sew on this side if you wanted, but I kind of want to make sure I see how close it gets because I want it real exact. I'm going to use some pins here to pin it in place. So I will come in, and I know I'm going to start down here when I sew, so I'm going to get a little bit past it. All right. And just keep sort of doing it. The thing to remember is when you do this, the other side, the first side here is not so hard. When you go to do the other side, you'll have to make sure that you have to open it up. You have to open the zipper up to sew it on. And so, I mean, otherwise you won't be able to get inside there because our side will already be attached. And so I will keep pinning carefully. You know, there are such things as zipper feet, which you can certainly use if you feel like it's necessary. I'm going to go in with, I'm going to see if I have a zipper foot, but if for some reason I don't for my machine, I will just be really careful as I sew this down and take my time as I do it. Now, I can do that because there's quite a bit of bulk in this seam here, so it's going to hold it up about the same amount of height as the actual zipper, and so I'm not as worried about it. But if you have a zipper foot on your machine, this is a good time to take advantage of it. What a zipper foot does is it allows you to put the edge of the presser foot right along that zipper and stitch down. And the benefit to that is that you won't, you'll be able to go real close to it if you want to. And it helps if your needle can go left or right. My needle doesn't do that on my straight stitch machine, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right, I have that done together. Let's go to the sewing machine. I'll show you how to stitch this down. All right, so I'm here at the sewing machine and I've threaded white thread into my machine. Now, one of the things you might notice is that I went a little close with the zipper pull here. And if I moved a little further away, it wouldn't really get in the way here as it is doing right now. See, if I go a little bit further past, I can put my machine, my side edge of my presser foot really close here to the edge and sew down there. But that zipper pull is making it difficult. So I'll actually come in and I'll unzip a ways, and then I can still come back in here and place this right next to it and start sewing. I'm using about a 2 on my stitch length, and that's going to allow me to come in here. I'm going to use my needle down, and it gives a pretty tight stitch. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to have any major problems. Now I will go ahead and zip this further down, and now that I have my needle down, actually I can then zip it all the way back up past and then continue sewing. And I'll do that. I'm just taking my time and being careful not to hit any pins, but also to keep that edge of the fabric right up against the edge of the teeth of the zipper. I mean, this is a quick and easy project, but I also want it to look good. So I'll just take my time. You don't want to go too far over the teeth with the fabric because I want to make sure that the zipper pull doesn't cut into the fabric when it's zipping or unzipping. I'm almost done with this part. Keep stitching down, and then when I sew it the other direction, I will give you a different angle. It'll be easier to see it. And I get here at the bottom, and I'm just going to back tack it in place, and then now I've basically gotten that zipper all the way down that side. Look how cute that looks. Now I'll show you the other side. It actually looks pretty good. It's held on there and it feels finished almost. I don't think it feels bad at all. All right, let's get the other side pinned on and I'll show you how the best way to do that at the cutting table. All right, so I finished here and now I need to bring this over and go ahead and pin this part together. Now the issue with this is that it will be easy to pin it this way, but then I've got to worry about how do I stitch in there, and I'll have to undo the, pull the zipper pull out. So let me just line it up here, just so I can get the edges lined up, and put a couple of pins in it, and then I'll open the whole thing up. Now obviously I have to get my hand underneath it. I don't want to pin all the layers together. In fact, I need to do the pins in the right direction because I'm going to sew from that end, just like I did this one. So let me get that on there. I'm just going to put a pin on here and a pin at the other end, and then I'll worry about lining everything up after I unzip the zipper. There we go. Now I make sure it lines up, and it does beautifully, and I will take and I'll unzip this all the way down to the end here. And that allows me to sort of lay this flat and put the rest of pin the rest of the zipper on. And I'm gonna pin it just as well as I did last time, probably maybe even a little bit closer because I really don't want this one to move because it's going to be being pulled here the whole time as I go to sew it, so I want to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere and it's going to be directly in the right place. And before I had an entire width of zipper to look at, and here I'm only going to have the very smallest amount of just these teeth to line it up. So I really want to make sure it's accurate. Plus, this is just taking almost no time at all. I mean, look how fast this is going. Other great thing is I've done 0 cutting, and in fact, I'm not going to have to do any cutting at all because I'm going to show you a really fun technique to fold up the ends. It's something I love on grocery bags, so I'm going to show it to you here. The other good part is this is meant to be a quick sewing project, and so I don't want to make it too difficult. You have to cut and learn things. Other ones will show you how to cut the edges, and I just want to make that easy. So now here, obviously, when we go to sew it together, that's going to make our pouch when it's finished. Let's go back to the sewing machine, and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so I've opened it up, and I'm going to put this back in the machine. The hardest part is going to be down here at the end where the material comes together. But I just have to be real careful as I place this in the machine. Keep that zipper straight and give myself a stitch back and forth. And now I can come in and very carefully pull up the pins as I go. And again, I'm using the edge of the presser foot here to go along the edge of the stitch of the fabric and making sure that my teeth are just right there at the edge too. And again, I'm not sewing over any of the pins. I'm sort of sewing to the side of them, and then I pull them out to make sure I don't actually stitch on the pin. It's gonna look real good when it's done because it'll look very precise. And here I just have to make sure that the teeth are still sticking out and the fabric is just touching the edge of those teeth. And again, at the end, I'll give it a little bit of a back stitch. And now that piece is put together. All right, back over to our cutting table to show you the next steps. All right, these pieces are together, and I'm gonna just go ahead and zip them back up. And now we've got our zippered piece. Now I'm gonna turn this whole thing inside out. You get an idea how big it's gonna be. That's kind of nice, right? You can get quite a couple of things in there. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it inside out because the next step is to work on the other side to put in our ends. And again, this is the no cutting version, which I really like because it means that if you ever had to adjust it later, you could just take out your stitches. And actually look how good that looks even with the seeing that zipper. In fact, you could probably, if you really wanted to, just flip it over and stitch it this way and have the zipper shown on the outside, but I like the other idea. So what we're gonna do with this ends, see here how they kind of come kind of close to being at the end, and even here it's a little bit off. Oh, not the best plan. I'm gonna fold this exactly in half. So what I can do is I can fold this way, okay? So I get exactly in half and take a pin, and I'm gonna put it here in this end so I know exactly where the halfway mark is on the other side. See, on this side I know where it is because of the zipper. Then I'm gonna open that up and fold it together so that the pin is halfway through the zipper. Right here. Perfect. My next step is to decide, I'm gonna put a pin in here just to hold this together. Right, sort of in the middle. Now my next step is to decide how much I'm bringing the edges in like this. See here? I'm gonna bring these edges in to create our box. Now, if I wanted it exactly 3.5 by 3.5 by 3.5, I would need to bring this point exactly into the middle here. I would have to literally take that point and put it right to the exact middle and fold it. And do the same thing with the other side, and I get this very skinny piece. But I can actually make this not quite 3.5 inches tall. I can make it less by deciding maybe to bring it to the edge of the zipper. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna flatten it out and find these 2 points here. This point. Okay, now I know exactly how far that is. I'm gonna take a pin on the other side and do the same thing. And now I'm gonna open those up, see, like this, and fold it to the edge of the zipper. See right here to the edge of that, the tape on the zipper. And I will take the pin out and put the pin right back through that spot. Then I can flip this fabric back open. And now I've created that fold all the way through. Now I'm going to transfer this pin to all of the pieces together out this way so that I can stitch over them, because I'm going to stitch right across these lines without having to take the pins out. Now I do the same thing with this one. I bring that point directly to line up with the tab, with the extra fabric on the zipper. Just use the pin to hold it in place, and then I will bring this fabric back out until they line up on the sides right here. And now I have the same thing. And then I'll move my zipper or my pin again. Oh, perfect. Now my next step is to do the same thing on the other end, and then we'll go over to the sewing machine. All right, here's what we have now. We've got that entire piece where the ends have been done and all the way to the other end. And what I'm gonna do is, and it's inside out, remember? So rather than cutting anything, we will cut the zipper when we're done, but I'm gonna sew across the end here and across the other end here. Now the important part is that your machine can go through this many layers. So if for some reason your machine can't go through all this many layers, you might have to hand stitch it across there, which you could certainly do. I'm gonna use my regular sewing machine, and I'm gonna be super careful when I get to this point where the zipper is. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't bring the material all the way to match the middle, because I didn't want 4 layers of this fabric and a zipper, metal zipper to go through. So I'm gonna be super careful. I'm wearing glasses. You should wear some kind of protective eyeglasses in case you don't normally wear regular glasses. I'm gonna stitch across and kind of cut below this stitch here so that I can pick up the stitch on the other side. Let's do that. Again, I'm using a very short stitch on my machine. And again, I'm having to be really, really careful as I go through. I'm going nice and slow, very slow, because there's very little sewing to do here. Very careful over the zipper, and then back off the other side. Maybe catch that stitch. All right, and I'm not gonna cut anything here until I'm confident that it's gonna work. So I'm gonna turn it inside out before I cut anything. I will take these pins out now, even though I didn't sew over any of them, but I wanna make sure that they are out before I turn it inside out. And then now I flip it around and do that other end. And again, I'm gonna sew on the side where the 2 lines don't quite match up, so I can make sure that I capture everything in there. Again, nice and slow over the zipper. And you'll hear my machine just had a problem going through that. So I'm gonna be real careful and get through. There we go. Let me take those pins out, the ones I did not run over. And now we can go ahead and unzip this. Oh, and I made a mistake here. I want to show you the mistake I made. I left the zipper pull outside. I needed to have rolled that back in so that the zipper pull, so I actually have to take this part out, this stitching out, and pull my zipper pull back and do that. Now, I don't have to take everything out. This is the important part. I can still leave all of these sides stitched in. I'm just gonna take out enough to slide the zipper pull back through. So I like this mistake actually because it'll show you how I should have made a better choice when I did this. So I'm gonna push my zipper pull back through. Again, I should have left a little more space in there. I'm gonna pull a couple more stitches out if I can get to them. Kind of hard to do because I use a very small stitch length. I'll do it on the green side. I think it's gonna be easier for me to see. Now I'm using a white thread. You could use something else that matched, but all the rest of the stitching on this particular placemat is white. And so I thought it would look like it was made purpose built from the beginning. So I'm gonna keep shoving that back through. Gotta have enough fabric for it to push into. Well, it doesn't like me at the moment. I got it to the end. Let me pull those two and kind of shove it back in. I may have to get a little more of that fabric open. Let me grab a couple more stitches out of there now that I can see them in there. There we go. Now I push the zipper pull further in. You'll see it on this side. See it's down below. I'm gonna pull it open even more now that I can, because I'm gonna need to open it anyway to turn this whole thing inside out. There we go. I'm gonna push it open even more. This is one of those fun things that I should have fixed before, but I like to leave the mistakes in because I want you to see that it may seem now like I'm actually doing it on purpose, leaving mistakes in, but I'm really not. I just didn't think about it before I did it properly. Okay, I got more of that. I'm gonna open that up even more. Then I'll come back here and stitch back over the top of this, making sure I hold these two close together because of course they'll have to be close together for the zipper to close. So luckily I left the stitching on either side so I can easily go back in and find it. All right, now that I fixed that, let's go back over to the cutting table and I'll show you how to turn this inside out and finish it. All right, there's the two ends stitched, and I'll finish opening up the zipper by putting my hand in there and go to the end. And now I'll turn it inside out. And what I like about those ends, they're a little different. I like the fact that it has that funky sort of, it's got this cute sort of triangular look to it. Now you could really get in here and iron this out, press it perfectly if you thought it needed it. I don't think it really needs it, but you could press in some seams to it. I just like to push these points out on this triangular piece right here. And then when you zipper it closed, look, you have a cute little bag carrier that you can put your stuff in. Now, if you wanted to, I mean, and this would be to finish it up nice and pretty, you can come back here and trim off the tails. So I'll just use my junk scissors. And I'm gonna trim kind of close to the edge there. That one wasn't as long as the other end. The other end had quite a bit hanging out, and you could trim it off. You also might add another line of stitching here to really reinforce this if you felt like it. But then that closes up your ends. And voila, super cute carrier for your longer items. So you can either use this this would be cute if you were using it in your house to store your, like an electric knife. You could use it to store longer utensils if you were carrying them like to a picnic or something. And of course you could use it for your hair care products, which I don't have, but if you had a curling iron or a flat iron, they would fit perfectly into this great bag. Now this would also be good for knitting needles or any other type of smaller stuff that you have that needs some length to it, rulers or any of that other kind of thing. And I like how cute it is. It's just the cutest thing, and made out of a simple placemat from the Pioneer Woman. So that is this really cute small carrying bag that took me just minutes. I mean, this really didn't take very long at all to make. And you can easily make this at home with virtually no cutting, unless you just want to cut the ends off of that zipper. All right, I've been Tim Totten. Thank you so much for watching this episode with me today, how we made this cute little carrier. Please, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit the like button on the video. That really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. People find it easier. Of course, you can subscribe so you see more videos like this. And until next time, folks, stay crafty. Bye for now. You know, this actually be really good for the tripod and some of the stuff I use to make videos. I could easily lay that in there. Let me see it. See what I think.